What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D, aka Ryan680.
And this is Lex back at it again, guys, with another review.
Let's get right to it, guys. We are talking about episode 2 of Ted Lasso, guys. I know everyone was excited for episode 1. We finally got it. It's finally here. Now let's talk episode 2 because episode 2 gets a little bit deep and we'll talk about spoilers at the end, guys. But let's get right to it. The title of this episode is Curiouser and Curiouser. And one of the things I do want to say, guys, is, everyone's been talking about the fact that it's back, right? We've been seeing a lot of reactions, a lot of people talking like highly about it. And some people are like, well, episode 1 was, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you there. But at the same time, just let it build, man. Let it build. It's going to flow very beautiful. We got 10 episodes this season. All I can say is that just be patient. Patience, Jedi. Patience, my young one. My young Padawan. But let's get right to it, guys. First and foremost, Lex, I want to get to your official review. Like I said, no spoilers yet, guys. We'll put the spoilers tag on there. But what did you think of this episode? Now that obviously by now by the end of episode 1, we know there's an indication that we are going back to Richmond and everything. And so, what did you think of this episode? Episode 2. Of course, no spoilers, right? So, what your initial thoughts after watching it?
Yeah, man. So this is our first episode being back in Richmond, and like you said, and this is much more like what the old show felt like. And I once again hate making the comparisons because it's a new storyline. It's a new format for this. However, we knew based on trailers and everything that it would definitely be taking place at Richmond. Not getting into spoilers just yet, but just that's something that obviously I think it's known at this point. And with that said, the criticisms that we may have had for first episode and just the sense of like where the show places us in and how alien it felt to an extent, but it was really insightful to see into Kansas City, and they introduced a lot of shots that were actually relevant to some of the places and traditional spots to go to in Kansas City. So I enjoyed that part, but it feels right to be back home. And this episode was very enjoyable in the sense that you're still getting reintroduced, right? Like this is still not the same Richmond as when Ted left, and also it's a different mission, a different task at hand here. You still have the presence of the men's team, admittedly, like kind of happening more in the background because Ted and even the operations of the stadium and the team itself, it's really focusing on the women's team as kind of what's been described in the the show. And it's great because it offers like a different perspective. Like it still feels like this breathing world of like, hey, the men's teams are having matches. Everything's still kind of proceeding as kind of what you expect. But it's still once again showing kind of like some of the deficiencies and differences that you have between the teams and how they operate and even how they're perceived. So I really enjoyed the aspect that it's almost the audience of us watching the show and the Richmond people rooting or hearing about the news of the new team, the women's team, and stuff like that. There's a lot of parallels in the skepticism that one would have, and it seems like the show is gradually easing you into, hey, you have to. There's an importance to root for this, but it's really awesome on why you have to get on this train and support Richmond as a whole. And Ted navigating through that, right, where he's kind of. He left on a pedestal at the end of season 3, but now it seems like people are doubting him again, and in the same ways as kind of like in the past. And then we have new cast introduced, which was also really exciting to see. So overall, I had a joy with this episode. There's a lot of great cameos and being back in Richmond, and just really excited to be back in this setting. Like I said.
Yeah, this episode seems so much more familiar than last episode, and even more so, you kind of get a sense to where exactly everyone's at now that it's past, I don't think they talk about the years yet. I guess we'll touch, I think we'll get kind of hints here and there, but how much,
I want to say it's like 2 or 3 maybe.
It's definitely, it feels like over a year for sure. I just don't know the time frame. I know at least a year, I would say, probably more. But yeah, it definitely is a great feeling to see Ted back at Richmond, and to really see how and let's be honest here, guys. Just like every other sport, you kind of see that division. We're not gonna go too much into sports just yet, but you kind of see that division, like who's perceived more and who's perceived less, who's
Yeah.
relevant and who's more less relevant, and you get to see that. It's just the same answer like it always is for the most part. And you kind of see Ted's return. Kind of feels real and it feels genuine, right? And also it's really cool to see Keeley again, Roy Kent. So we get we all seen the scene from the trailer, so it's just really beautiful to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest here, guys. I love how Apple TV showed us that trailer because it doesn't give off a lot. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's like the first two episodes for the most part. Like, and I'm
Yeah, I
okay
think
with that.
so.
I really am. So it gives me hope. Like, the reason why they didn't show us that much is because it's gonna get way better than expected, and we didn't want to reveal too much. And I love that. Thank you, Apple, for that. Uh, and
Yeah.
now really trying to really co-coach without with the new character here, like Lex already said. And so it's very interesting to see how the coaching environment has changed for Ted. So we get an introduction to this and everything, and so I thought that was really good, rather really really generally good. And then we get a little laughs along the way as usual, which I love. It keeps us entertained on so many levels. We get
We also get to
funny moments
oh
in here too. But
yeah, and I was gonna say we also get to start meeting and getting a little bit of a better look at the team itself, like the team that Ted will be interacting with.
yeah, with coaching, yeah.
And that's interesting, right? Because like you said, Apple didn't have a ton of the I don't want to say reveals because don't expect anything crazy, but I think some of the marketing didn't focus enough on some of the characters that the team will be providing. It might have been done on purpose. I had a conversation with my wife, but like I was just I'm really rooting for that same level of unique
I
personalities and flavors and banter that you get from the team of Richmond itself. I know Ted and the coaching staff and the Richmond operating people, like it's kind of the focus. However, the team it has to be just as special in terms of like
yeah,
the personalities and joy and laughter that it introduces.
yeah.
And we got a glimpse of that here because
We
this keep in mind the season hasn't started or anything like that, but it's just you're being introduced to the set of characters that you're probably going to start seeing more and more frequently.
Yeah, but I mean, even season one though, we didn't really get too many main
Yeah, it
characters
was
per
later
se.
on.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
later on,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
honestly, like I would not be surprised they did the same thing with Apple. Season one of Ted Lasso was the fact
Yeah.
that I think halfway through the season
I think even
we
Danny
started
didn't come in until like episode
no to
4 or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and like towards the end of the season though, not the end of the football season, but the
But
towards the end of
yeah.
the show season, we actually saw more promos because they were like, "Hey, these are the main characters," because they wrote them in.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
generally
yeah,
done
yeah.
very very well, and so I'm okay with that honestly because
Yeah.
I think they get us pumped more so towards the end of the season, and then also they get us pumped in the middle, right? Because depending how the promos go and everything, I have a highly expectation for them to do promos towards the middle or end of the season of the actual highlight of the players. So I really do hope that happens and everything. I have no indication that it won't, no indication that it will either, but it's just my hope and belief that they'll do it just like they did in season one with
Yeah.
Danny Rojas, Jamie Tart, and all of them. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, you kind of see, can really, and the question is to mind, right? In my head is that we know that Ted um, can coach the men's team, right? Can he coach the women's team? That's a very, very different scenario, different set of skill sets, and everything. So I feel like that they kind of touch base a little bit on it, but mainly so is why they even recruited him to begin with, right? So
Yeah.
like they know that they didn't have a good coach lab pass previously, but yeah, um, one of the things I would even say, is that they have a lot going for them. They really do, the women's team, and also that how high regards that the owner, that she she kind of how it gets more decipher into it because she knows she has a problem, like she has the women's team also, but at the same time though managing two football teams, that's a lot. That really
Yeah.
is like and then obviously when you have the off season, right? So hopefully we'll see how she balances it, her Keely and all them. And so it'll be interesting to see. And Higgins because now they don't have technically an off season, right? Because the off season is the women's league, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So that.
Oh no, I don't know. I think at some point they do have the same seasons going on in parallel, but yeah,
Oh
they're usually
wow.
staggered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I know.
but
And I know
everything
it's
from
not
like
set.
budget and everything, like
Yeah.
revenue, like it's all a business
Exactly.
ultimately. So yeah,
Exactly.
and the show does a good job at addressing that, and also I think that's part of the narrative. Like I don't know if this season will have a true villain, kind of
Mhm.
like what we saw at times with like Rupert. I think it might be just the fact that this is a large feat to accomplish, right? To
Mhm.
make a women's football team not only supported and recognized and start moving up the divisions, because they are indeed in a lower division than what you see with the men's
The
at the
Premier
end of
League. Yeah.
season 3. But I think that in itself might be the thematic villain of the story, is kind of navigating through those challenges and trying to kind of do more with less, like you said,
Yeah.
like the resources and things like that. So yeah, really excited. I think this sets
Yeah.
the tone for like the challenges that the team will have to overcome over the course of the season, and so it becomes a lot clear like what the show is about, the direction that it's headed in, and ultimately at the end of this episode, it still left me really excited to keep diving into the season
Yeah.
and watch more episodes. So that
Yeah.
was great.
Definitely. Let's do the ratings real quick, Lex, and then we'll
Yep.
talk about the spoilers. Let's get right to it. Lex, what's your official rating for this episode 2?
I think once again felt a lot better on this episode, getting reintroduced. I think this is like a 8.2 for me. Solid
Okay.
episode. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I really like this episode. It gets us back to the home front. It gets us back to like kind of the perception of people and everything. And I love seeing different personalities kind of interact.
Mhm.
More so the women and how vulgar that can be in England. And so it's definitely interesting. Definitely a lot of laughs. Definitely just I'm excited. I really am. This is gonna be a lot of fun humor here. Fun women humor. And it's very, very different because you expect that out certain people, and it's just they just flat out and say it. And because in this perspective, I could say it's not really a spoiler, but like we haven't seen a Roy Kent angry woman per se. And so it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how, if anyone will play that part, or maybe they'll recruit someone who's pissed off as Roy Kent was, to kind of give that balance or that thrive, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, and definitely interesting to see. But yeah, I'm gonna give a solid 8 out of 10, guys. 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I really did. And honestly, I'm intrigued and I can't wait to watch more. But let's get right to it, guys. We're going to talk about spoilers here now. Spoilers. So we're going to talk about spoilers. So be on the lookout. So if you have not seen episode 2, be sure to check out episode 2. And we're going to talk about potential spoilers here that you haven't seen. So let's get right to it. So what do you think of this setting? I do want to start off at the beginning real quick. So what do you think of the setting that Ted is now living above the bar? I thought that was very
That's cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
was all
think
like,
it's a
damn.
much nicer apartment too. So there was definitely
Yeah,
some
it
upgrades.
is. It is.
I think they show that the street where he used to live in is getting
Yeah,
renovated or something like
renovated.
that.
You wake
So
up.
maybe that's
Yeah,
why he's up there. But yeah, maybe that means we'll see a lot more of May. Which I mean, she
mhm,
was also already like an integral part of the show and everything
yeah,
that happens at the pub and whatnot. But no, it was a nice little upgrade from Ted. Just to change the setting, and he even addressed it. He said something about like, oh, not everything can be like exactly the same, but it's pretty close and things like that. So yeah, no, I like it. A change of scenery. I don't know how many scenes we'll have in that room, but once again, it seemed like a fancy
yeah.
place.
Yeah, I know, and it looked way nicer, especially that knowing that his family's gonna be there the following week. So I like how they said I like how he said that, because I was all like, I thought his family said yes,
Yeah.
I think it was the first part where he goes into the office, and so that's when he mentions it. I was like,
And
oh,
once
okay, that
again,
makes sense.
I think Michelle still gets her own place, so they're probably going to be like just
They
like
just
I
need
don't
to
think
move
they're
in together.
together.
They just need to move in
No,
together.
this. Oh my
Okay,
god.
all right, okay, all right. I still have hope. It's just kind of weird how like they co-parent and then they follow each. It's just weird. I don't know.
Well, that's
Whatever.
healthy. It's healthy
Yeah.
co-parenting.
Whatever. I'm just like, okay, well, anyways, I'm gonna get into that relationship situationship, if you will, but it'll be interesting to see. I think you mentioned it last episode, if what's her name shows up. Oh my gosh, what's her name? The one
Oh,
Chio
sassy.
sassy who he always has
Yeah,
the night stands with, and so like that'll be interesting. I bet you money if she shows up, the ex-wife will start caring. I bet you money. It's usually how it
maybe.
happens. It's
We'll
that's
see.
how it happens. She's like, "Aren't you staying with me?" It's like, "Well, no, you didn't. We don't move in together." It's like, I bet you money. It's typically how it happens. It's just
We'll
saying.
see.
And yeah, so we let's touch base real quick. Obviously, the coach that's there
Yeah.
is and this not we're gonna spit the facts here. We're not trying to insinuate anything, but this is obviously it's a woman coach here, and I appreciate how, because that was one of the things. I was like, how are you gonna have Ted Lasso coach the women's division if you don't have at least an assistant woman coach or any woman coach? And they have a woman trainer, which I thought she was very funny.
Yeah,
With the
she's
zip thing.
hilarious.
She's all like,
Yeah. She has like a
yeah,
spunky energy, and she's
yeah,
really excited too. Because at
see,
this point, they
yeah,
know of Ted, right? They know the
yeah,
magic that he brought to the
yeah.
Richmond DNA,
To the rich
and
man,
and and
he
obviously
has a
the staff
legacy,
now that
I guess. Yeah,
yeah,
he has a reputation,
and,
legacy. Yeah,
and this staff is now excited to work with him, obviously. So that was
yeah,
really cool. And you're right. So just for context for everyone in the, because this is spoilers, like I believe what happened is that the team didn't have a coach, but they have an assistant coach,
yeah,
and obviously the assistant coach, she's played by Tanya Reynolds, and she plays Alice. This is where it gets a little tricky. It's like Shitterton, Shilton, Alice Shilton. Um, Sorry, I have issues with the ch pronunciation because I'm from Chihuahua, so it sounds really strong.
Chihuahua,
Alice Shilton.
Shilton,
So she obviously would have liked to get up to the
yeah,
other
to the
job, so
coach,
move from
yeah, the
assistant
head
coach
coach.
to the head coach. And it was in this episode, it obviously plays a role that she was technically not considered for that. And obviously, it was even mentioned on the first episode actually by Higgins and Rebecca how, like, yeah, if we can't land on Ted, like we might need to consider her, but she hates everyone and I don't like her and blah blah blah. So clearly, like, they've probably butted heads in the past.
Yeah,
Maybe plays a role as to why she wasn't considered. But obviously they were hoping that Ted was the right person to kind of continue to bring that magic and brand as to how Richmond operates, to give the
yeah,
same level of care to the women's team as the men's team. I think that's the story behind it. However, from the perspective of the assistant coach, that obviously is seen as like, well, you decided to hire a men coach, and that's kind of like the journey of this episode. And Rebecca, you can see like she kind of freaks out of like, wait, am I not being feminist enough? Like it's kind of like a
yep.
fun banter and
She
story.
questions
And once again,
herself.
yeah, and obviously a lot of these are very like modern themes, but I do like that the show doesn't try to go in a corny route to it. It's actually very realistic of just kind of like the thought process that we go through, like, hey, like, are we being inclusive enough? Is there certain inclusivity that is like, well, it's kind of pointless to do that? Like Rebecca's very raw about those conversations. And I just really like how the show is very intelligently like addressing these themes that once again you could like roll your eyes at, but in this case it's being handled with a lot of care, and there's obviously once again a through line. But the personality of this assistant coach, to be honest, like it takes a minute to get used to, because like you could see like she's very dry, to the point,
Mhm.
mission focused. But then you start seeing the little by little Ted's perspective on it, right? Like he commended her right away of like a really detailed report on all the players.
Yeah,
And but at this point, she feels like, hey, if I didn't get that job, I'm going to resign. So she immediately, the way that we meet this character is through that resignation in
resignation.
itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And the big journey of this episode, which I really
Mhm.
loved, was like,
And she does ask,
is
by the way.
Ted?
Remember,
Huh?
she does ask Rebecca though.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
even
Did you
consider a
consider?
woman? Like
Yeah,
that's where the question starts. The
and she
feminism.
was honest enough to say
Yeah,
like no, right?
no,
But then that's
yeah.
what got her.
She was straightforward, and she kind of like at the very end of the conversation, she just gives like Rebecca gives this look like, oh fuck, like it's just
Yeah, yeah.
like she didn't
It
say it, but
realized to
she
her how it
feels it like
looks.
how it
Yeah,
looks. Like you're not feminist enough, and then the other Alice was like,
Higgins. Oh,
like she was just like,
oh yeah,
remember?
yeah,
She was just, okay. I was just like,
yeah.
all right. So and you're a woman. and you don't want to give a woman an opportunity. So that's why I'm all like, damn, okay,
Yeah,
like what?
she's very blunt. She's very, and
Yeah,
once again, you can kind of see like how people think that, she's rude or dry and stuff like that. But then you start peeling back the layers, and obviously Ted, and I think this maybe relates to the name of the episode itself, Curious and Curious. Obviously, Ted is a big proponent of being curious,
curious
because
a
that's how
lot.
you kind of get to learn
Yeah.
about someone, what makes them tick, how they
Mhm.
operate, as well as, not underestimating someone, right? And so I think that there's this whole theme of like, can Ted peel back the layers of that onion
Yeah.
to be able to get through her and convince her that maybe she should stay. That's kind of like what in your mind, like, it goes through like, oh man, is she, won't she? She doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be receptive to Ted's style. But little by little, I think what really enjoyed about this episode is that Ted magic was definitely there. It needs to
Yeah.
be applied differently, to specific characters that maybe are not as receptive to that. But it worked here ultimately, where it kind of had like a nice
Yeah.
circle moment where she decided, you know what, this is a good team for me to be part
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, man. Even more so the fact that a lot happens here in this episode, and where we kind of see where she, where we see her kind of pull back the layers, like you already said. We kind of see how that curiosity really takes form, because Ted kind of just, he's curious by nature, right? Just like everything. I mean, we learned that from season one,
Yeah.
very very quickly, in a great written, influential way.
It
And
was
then
also a great. Oh, sorry.
but but
It was also a great time for Ted to learn about the players and the team, and so they
yeah,
got that breakdown, and you could see how much the coach, or the assistant coach, sorry,
yeah.
she knew everything about their playing ability, but she doesn't care much about like their personal stuff and what makes them tick. And so
No.
that was like a nice counterbalance between what Ted brings
So
to the table and then
yeah.
what she brings to the table.
So she's very tactical when it comes to the football, and to each his own, right? So she's great at that. Ted is, I mean, even though he was the head coach,
Yeah,
he wasn't really great tactically making plays. It was mainly
yeah,
like he relied on Beard, Nate, and Roy, and so that's a great charisma, right, to have. And so, but here's the thing: he brings out the best out of the players, yes, but he brings out the
yeah.
best in people at the same time, because they're people, right? And so I'm actually interested to see. I think her name's Katie Boots. To see maybe she might stand out in this season and everything. As quote unquote maybe the new Jamie Tart, if you will. Not insinuating anything, but it actually very interesting to see. Maybe she might play that angry, superstar role, I guess, so to speak, and icon. I love Jamie Tart's cap every time he would show it on their icon. And then
Yeah.
also we get a glimpse of Roy Kent's. I thought that was beautiful, really beautiful. We see Coach Beard kind of hiding in the corner a little bit. Didn't even know he was there. We see Roy.
Yeah, it
We
seems like
see
they kind of
Ted
played like a
Lasso.
relationship thing, right? It's a
Yeah,
reunion, but they don't know how they
yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
That
So
was
Ted Lasso,
also
yeah, Ted Lasso's in there with Roy Kent, and then we don't see Beard until, I thought that caught me off guard. I was kind of scared a little bit where
that he was, yeah, all with the long hair and long beard and everything.
yeah. So he kind of says that and kind of gets lost in it. So I was all like, damn. So it was very interesting to see how, and then we kind of see kind of Roy Kent kind of deal with that, because it's like he doesn't want to break the band apart.
Yeah,
And so when he deals with his own way, and I love how he deals with it, right? And then we get the, what is it, the what do you call it? The trainer room, or like not the trainer, the
yeah,
players
yeah,
room. The
yeah.
players room.
The locker room. Yeah,
Damn, that locker room is tiny, dude. That
yeah.
shit was effed up, Rebecca.
It
Like
was,
what?
it was even
Dude.
smaller. It was even smaller than like where they stored the shoes in the
Yeah.
last 3 seasons of
Dude,
the milk place.
Rebecca, what is going on with you? Like, without Ted bringing it to her attention, I was like, damn, like,
It's just they didn't have in the facility, they don't have a separate locker because there was only for one team, right? So,
yeah.
but I think like towards the end of the episode they found like a creative solution, and you could see how much more involved
Well, they just
Keely
moved
is
the
as
away team.
well.
They put the away. I was
Yeah,
all like, dude, the away team had a bigger locker room than your home. Like, what the
yeah.
hell, dude? I'm just saying, Rebecca's missing a lot of key things, and I think she's gonna realize it very, very quickly this season. That it's like,
But
it's just
that's the reality of how some of these businesses and sport organizations operate, right? Like
yeah,
if you introduce a women's team to a team, an organization that previously didn't have that,
yeah,
is you're not going to build another wing, right? Because that's going to cost like a lot of money. So I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying like I think they're showing this on purpose because it's a lot of the reality of what some of these teams may face
Mhm.
as they get introduced. And
Yeah.
even like you could see once again, Higgins, a big arc of him for this episode was for him to read the report that ultimately is just saying like, hey, this investment might not pay off,
Yeah.
and so it's obviously something that Rebecca needs to be on top of because she still has the board of directors and all that stuff, right? So.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but overall, like I think just for all the characters that we got, like once again,
Yeah.
their own individual arcs. Like I really enjoyed the journey that they took, and ultimately, once again, I really like the personality and the contrast of the new the assistant coach, and so I hope we'll see a little more of the funnier side with her kind of
Yes.
getting a
Yeah.
little
I'm
more warm,
excited.
but also her
Yeah.
influence continue to influence the team. And I
The
love that
team.
Ted
Yeah.
told her like, hey, like I understand you wanted to go for this role, and until that happens, like I want to support you there. And so I really
Mhm.
like that partnership too, where
How he stayed
Ted
with
says
her
like,
the
hey,
whole
if you
time.
eventually take
Yeah.
over my role, like I'm okay with that. I want us to be part of that journey together.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. I love how he just attaches to people, and then also he's just doing the Ted Lasso thing, right?
Yeah,
And then also, one of the key things I really did appreciate it a lot was the fact that even though he's no longer going to work with this woman, towards the end of this is the middle of the episode, but like towards the end of the week, he gives her a going away gift. I thought that was really good. I thought that was really beautiful.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then obviously she changes her mind because she sees a light at the end of the tunnel that Ted is pulling back the layers, and she realizes that she's letting Ted in
yeah,
into her heart and everything. And again, you're like you already said, like pulling back those layers. She was misunderstood. Even Keely, I'm surprised Keely and Rebecca Higgins too, they all missed it, which I'm surprised because you would think they would learn from Ted and everything, like how much they live together, how much they all worked together for so many years. You would have thought they would understand it, but I guess Ted was always the one that understood people and made them better and helped them open up to not just Ted, but to everybody,
yeah,
and so and she seems like she knows what the hell she's doing. It's not even that. It's not even the fact that she can't do her job. It's just her personality that
yeah.
it's not
And
workable.
sometimes that happens in the workplace, right? Like sometimes there's
Yeah.
someone that like can do the job and does it well, but if you don't jive with like the boss or stuff like that, like it
Yeah.
puts you on a certain list, right? So
Yeah, it puts you on the chopping block. And then
yeah,
also we get sadly but true, it really is. And not just football, American football, or just not just sports, it's every workplace. But I do want to mention this as well because I'm hoping they get back together, but it's Roy and Keely's tension is still there.
yeah,
You feel it. I think Ted said something to Roy, was like, "Oh, you
yeah,
guys are really good friends." He's like, she said that really twice, or what did he say? She said something like,
yeah, like really,
"You're
really
really,"
good or something.
she said, "Really, really twice," and I was just like, yeah, yeah. Like he was just like
Yeah,
his face, his mustache
yeah. I'm
face. So
hoping they explore that
yeah,
more for sure. I'm rooting for them. I
yeah.
I do understand like if
And
it
Jamie's
happens,
not
then like
there. Jamie's
yeah,
gone, so he can't interrupt them and everything. And I think that was a major concern because last season was the Jamie was like, "I'm gonna go for her," or right, or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah. I thought that they could continue with that, but it
I
didn't
just
work out.
I really want them to be together already, but I want them
Yeah.
to get. I want honestly, like we know Beer gets married, right? We saw that from the trailer. We know he gets married.
But it's
Um,
it's mentioned here that maybe they have problems.
yes, yes,
It is
yes.
mentioned, so we'll
So
we'll see if they
I'm
discover a
actually,
bit more.
yeah, I'm actually trying to see how if I mean I would be happy if Roy Ken and Keely get married, but again, I don't know. We'll see how it really unravels here this season, and because knowing that Jamie and Roy have to work together, so it'll
Yeah,
be interesting. And then I'm also, do you think anyone from the besides Roy Kent, Brent Goldstein coming in? Do you think we're gonna see any of the previous players this season?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
Maybe in a cameo, like
Yeah,
just a small cameo, but I know all those actors. Part of the reason why they like Phil Dunster, who plays Jamie Tart, like he couldn't be here, is because he has his own show in on HBO. I haven't gotten to see it, but it's with Steve
Mhm.
Carell. It's a Rooster, I
Oh,
think.
Rooster, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know how much he's in it, but just the coordination of having to film and stuff like that, they just couldn't make it work. So I'm thinking
yeah.
maybe like a cameo, like it could even be like they're FaceTiming or something like that. I don't know. I hope there is some of those surprises. I'm sure the cast would appreciate to do that. But as a recurring, I don't think we're missing anyone. I think they're
Gotcha.
mostly going to focus uh, on the new cast.
Yeah, no, for sure. And episode 2 is definitely a stronger than I would say in and that's not to disrespect episode 1, but I'm definitely going to say this episode's way stronger than episode 1.
Yeah, for
Finally
sure. Yeah,
establishes the new vision of Ted Lasso, kind of going into the coaching style and how the women's team gives the serious tension that it deserves. Because let's be
yeah,
honest, when they were asking Ted all these questions, they were asking him about the Premier League for the men's
yeah,
team.
and that's part of the point, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, what do you think about the Roy Kent's coach?" Like, I'm all like, "What the fuck?" And then Roy Kent walks into beer and he's reading a book, right? Supposed to be reading a book, and he's like, "You sure you don't want to see your boyfriend, or what do you say, your boyfriend, your best friend, or something like that?"
something. Yeah,
Something like that of
they
funny
they
notes.
treat it like a romance for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and so
Romance.
yeah, bromance, and it's like no, no, and then he's watching it on his phone. I was like, damn. So he's
Yeah,
still like he needs to be with him, and you can't break them up. And so,
yeah,
and we see that towards the end of this episode is that Roy Kent made up this rule and distinguishedly kind of just told like go be with Beard. So I'm actually excited to see Coach Beard and
yeah.
Ted back together again, getting the band back together. And the biggest question is, how good is this season going to be? I hope it's not as bad as season 1 of Ted Lasso, like the stats, like the record. Yeah, like I
Were
hope it's
those
a little.
stats bad? Or
No,
you mean
like
like
the record.
watching?
Yeah, what like the record. The
Oh,
record
okay,
was
got
bad.
it.
Yeah, because they didn't have a good. They didn't. Season 1 wasn't good for them. They were still
Well, this is during the
developing. Yeah,
pandemic too, but it was highly rated still. Like
yeah.
that's what got the show going.
No,
But
no,
I
no,
think
no, no.
even
I'm talking about the actual football team.
the rec.
The
Okay,
record.
that's why
Yeah,
I was like, wait, what
yeah.
do you mean? Like we wouldn't be here if
No,
season
no,
one
no,
had sucked.
no,
Okay,
no.
I get what you're
The
saying.
record. The
The record
record.
of the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm actually kind of seeing. I'm hoping
Yeah, I'm
that the
hoping,
women will
especially
be
because they're
better.
playing at a low,
A
it's
lower end,
one of the
yeah,
lower divisions.
yeah,
Hopefully, they just come out on top right off the bat. Like, because you're right. Like the first one, there was a lesson in the fact that hey, maybe you don't win it. You did get
maybe you
delegated.
don't win, but you win it, right, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. But no, I hope on this one, like there's obviously because coach kind of has a better idea of how the team operates. He surrounds himself with good people. So yeah, hopefully I'm also rooting for the team here. We've yet to see any matches yet, but hopefully that's
Yeah,
coming up soon in the season. So we're gonna have to stay tuned.
yeah, and I hope that they do the matches really good. They film them really good because I just don't want like too much. I mean, I want to see a lot of football this season. I do, and
Yeah.
so hopefully we get a lot of it this season. Not kind of like shrunken where it's. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the interaction, the dialogue. I love it, but I want to see the football.
Some more
Action.
matches,
Yeah,
more
to see
action. Yeah.
them, to see the girls, kind of really because we never really see. I've never seen soccer by women or anything. I've never seen it before, so this will be the first time ever. So, everyone knows the FIFA World Cup and how popular that is and everything. And so it'll be interesting to see how the women interact with each other right when they're like trying to kick the ball towards each other to see if they kind of throw dabs at each other and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how they play the other teams as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited. All right, guys. So there you have it. That's our official review, guys. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. As always, I am your host, Ryan D. Ryan680.
And this was Lex, guys. Stay tuned. Let us know what you thought. Like,
Yeah.
share, and subscribe.
Yeah, let us know in the comments down below what do y'all think. And we got more reviews coming out and more Ted Lasso reviews coming out, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you at the movies. Latest.